If we don't get views, we just fucking leave it run.
You still flare, I'm guessing.
Hmm? You're on the wrong channel, dumbass. I told you that. Almost like that, you just need to listen to what I'm telling you.
This that's already on that channel. Whatever it is. That's it. I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, you can't hear myself that's in my
No.
headphones, right? Okay.
Put your phone up and see if that fucking YouTube guy is still on this fucking live.
Mm-hmm.
And then report everybody. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? All right, bring me that chair. So, feel free to join a chat here. We're just going to get going. I see you're in here. Say hi.
You gotta love me.
So I had a great experience today with Captain YouTube. I got a strike on my other channel. Yeah, they're all real, man. I got a strike on my other channel for having a video with my dogs playing. They told me it was hate speech to have dogs playing. Legitimately. But are you streaming from? Yeah, I'm from the US. Noah, I gotta tell you what, why don't you guys do me a favor right off the bat and double tap that like screen or double tap the like button for me. Consider subscribing to this channel. If you guys enjoy firearms, I mean this is nothing. This is just little like it's nothing. If you guys like firearms, you're in the right place. If you guys like video games, you'll notice the Barrett 50 cal in the back. Put a like on the video and you're on a phone, you have to double tap the screen. Or if you're on like a tablet or an iPad or something, all the way up in the top right corner, there's 3 dots. You have to hit that. So to own a firearm in the U.S., it's pretty simple. You have to not have any felony convictions. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You can't be a drug user. You can't be like a person who's been committed in a mental institution or a mental hospital. You can't have any convictions for like domestic abuse, domestic battery, you know, things where people beat up their wife or their girlfriend or vice versa. You know, a girlfriend could beat up a boyfriend. You fill out your federal paperwork, you pay your transfer fees if there is a transfer fee, and you purchase a firearm. Every state is a little bit different. But most states, it's if you're not any of them things I listed, you're able to legally purchase a firearm. No train. Well, you know, I don't understand what you mean by no train and no license. Isn't that a little insecure? You don't need a special license to go purchase a car, do you? You don't need a special license to buy a garden rake or a hammer. You don't need a special license to go buy a sword, do you? You know, a responsible gun owner, um, they'll get trained and they'll learn how to use it. Irresponsible ones, no, they won't. I got a driver's license for driving a car, not owning a car. There's a difference. Anybody can buy a car. If you wanna carry a concealed weapon, there's licensing and requirements to go along with that. Back Hugo. I'm not sure if I said that right, but how are you doing? I appreciate you coming in. Double tap the screen, put a like on this for me if you would.
Bakugo? Yeah, Bakugo.
Start warming that food up for your sister.
Okay.
So, you know, a firearm's just a tool. People sometimes use them inappropriate. Most of the time don't. Orange Smoke, I'm glad you came in. How are you doing? I sent you Harley's match footage for the day. I'm not even gonna try posting it. I just spent the last hour arguing with YouTube over that strike, and they're not gonna reverse it. They told me at the end when I started asking them if they could explain things to go ahead and hire a lawyer. That was their response.
Somebody's trying to get your attention.
Well, see, what you're trying to say is selling automated guns. So a full auto gun is different than what you see on the table. And with a full auto gun, there's a whole bunch of paperwork that goes into place. It's not just go to the fucking store and buy a machine gun and go home. If you want to hunt, you have to have training for that and a license for that. So there is licenses and training required for some things. No, I appreciate your Raphael coming in and asking questions, because firearm ownership in America is not quite what people think it is. You know, there's some pretty hefty requirements. You know, like I said when I went through them, that right there separates a lot of people. You know, if you're out getting in trouble and getting criminal convictions and fighting in court, being hospitalized for mental issues, there's a lot of things that bar you from ownership. But understand what you're saying, a full auto gun. No, you can't just go to the store and buy a full auto gun. Can you buy a revolver? Can you buy a pistol? Can you buy a semi-automatic firearm? Absolutely. But yeah, Orange Smoke, dude, I'm so mad. I am so mad about them. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with that channel. I may just tell them to stick it up their backside. I'm pretty upset. They got me on a strike I don't know, what, over a month ago for harmful acts during a live. There was nothing going on. I reported that kid that was, a couple kids that were talking about self-harm. So we reported them for that. And then I get in trouble. They give me a strike. You know, I put a video up. That video was posted the end of February. So how are you going to give me a strike on a video that's almost, what, 4 months old, and then say it's hate speech? It's dogs playing, for God's sakes. They tell me we just had our team manually review it. If you reviewed the video, how can you tell me it's hate speech? Some jack off that's going through a channel and reporting fucking videos when there's nothing wrong with them. Yeah, I wasn't gonna go into the full auto thing, because I think he's just implying even just, you know, semi-automatics. I don't think he understands, and he might, but understand the difference between full auto, semi-auto. You know, firearm ownership in America is weird. Depending on where you are, you know, some states are better than others, but at the end of the day, so like Orange Smoke was saying, then, you know, anything full auto, it's not just a simple process of cash and carry. There's some paperwork, and like he says, it's very, very, very cost prohibited. Now, any schmuck on a street corner can go buy a gun illegally and make it full auto, and that gives the wrong impression. Firearm statistics in America are very inaccurate. In America, per capita, if you put out the statistics, in America, you are more likely to kill in an automobile accident than you are from a firearm. You are more likely to die of AIDS than a firearm. You are more likely to die of a drug overdose than firearms. And that's statistics. A lot of people don't like to say that or admit it. And that's when we did the research on that. That's research. That's cop shootings. That's self-unaliving. That's homicide. That's everything. John Winks, I'm glad you're here, man. So I'm going to be back to posting on this channel for at least a couple weeks. I got a strike on my other channel for 2 dogs playing, and I got a strike for hate speech. Evidently, it's hateful speech to have 2 dogs playing. I started watching your video. I only watched the first one, as I was up here on YouTube. I will watch the other one when I'm done here, but I wanted to get on here anyway and get some time. But I mean, it was a great day for shooting. How'd your boy do? But John, we shot USPSA today. We had a good day. Yeah, man. I shit you not. Ask Orange Smoke. I sent him literally the screen recording of the video that they were saying is hate speech. Yeah, dude. I'll wait some time, but I promise that screen recording is going to get posted on the Tactical Solutions. There you go. What red dot were you using? You know, I shot today, and I'll be honest, that was probably my best match in probably 4 or 5 years. Fucking was absolutely on fire, had phenomenal hits, making good times, and I got my ass handed to me. We had some of the best shooters in the state there, and what usually would have been easily a top 10, maybe a top 5 finish, I ended up in, was it 24th?
Yeah.
24 out of
38.
Out of 38.
I ended up in 37 only because somebody got EQ'd.
Vortex Strike Fire. So, John, as soon as my kid comes back, we'll make him moderator on this channel. Just give me a minute till he gets back in here. Gage, actually, wait, I can do it right here.
Dad, I'm putting on my pajamas.
Take a shower. Yeah, she shot really good too. She definitely did better than last time. You know, she came in second to last place. She won ladies. She was the only girl there. She shot a load I had for her with 231, and when I shoot it, it's super soft. When we came back, as we stopped and ripping on our way back to get you the video with Gage and the Meg dump and the checkmate, I remember you asked for that, so we stopped there to do that, and I had another load that I've been working on for her. She did use her shadow system, but I gave her that other load, and holy God, dude, that's a cheater gun now. That thing just, it's butter smooth. I put a short up on me with this of regular time and slow motion, but it's 5.3 grains of CFE on top of a 115, and it's not a light load, but it's a gassy load. That gun stays flat. I mean, it moves some. Every gun moves, but he got it last fall. Yeah, man. Parents, it's amazing how fast time catches up with you. You know, I talk to my kids and I make excuses. I'm old, you know. But Harley, Harley, come here. We'll have her come back down. Gage, you wanna tell Orange Smoke thank you? He was actually making supper. Yeah, man, it's precious times. I hope you got lots of pictures. You know, if you didn't, make sure next time you do.
Thank you, Orange Smoke, for the sponsor.
So Orange Smoke is on here. If you want to say thank you.
Thanks you for all the stuff that you do for us, Orange Smoke. You're a great sponsor.
He did. Absolutely, John.
Thank you, Orange Smoke. You're the best. Sponsor the kids again.
You know, with the kids, I mean, they shoot, but when we're able to pick up sponsors like that, it lets them shoot more. So, having you sponsor today, Orange Smoke, next weekend she'll be shooting Steel Challenge again. It's huge, man. You know, Brian, how are you doing, man? I'm glad you're here.
Dad.
1 second. But yeah, she shot pretty good. I mean, if you look at the scores, you may not think so, but watching her shoot, she was safe. She thought about everything she did. She, you know, had a stage plan. I'm gonna do a mag change here, and she followed it. She missed double shots on a few targets, but she hit everything at least once. So for you know, this is her second USPSA match.
I also attempted to hit everything twice.
This was her second USPSA match. Last weekend, her shooting Steel Challenge with that Black Mamba really made a big difference in how she shot this weekend. She had great trigger control. There's a few times where her grip would get sloppy and you could see it in the way the gun recoiled, but she had really great control for the most part. When she would miss stuff like steel, she would settle in and you could watch her and she get a perfect hit, ping, you know. So she made, honestly, in a month now, so this is a month since the last match, she made remarkable progress. I can't wait to see where she's at the end of summer. And this is part of why we started doing the YouTube videos, is to show that stuff, you know, to kind of encourage, and like I say this all the time, you guys hear this, but kind of encourage people to get out there and try it, you know. Your dad brought out his NAA Trump Edition 22. That's badass. Send me a picture of it if you have it. Wait a couple hours though, but does that have the long barrel? Is it, you know, the super, what is it, 1/4 inch, or I think that's 1/4 inch. I think that's 1/4 inch. It looks huge from where I'm sitting. I mean, it definitely looks like a 12-inch barrel. But
Dad,
same on the one on the table. There you go.
Dad, I finished both seasons of Squid Games.
Yeah, Raphael, man. You know, I hope you come back to the channel. You're welcome anytime. What country are you in, if you don't mind my asking? But I appreciate you, you know, coming in and having a conversation and absolutely, you know, I'd love to answer any of the questions like that you have. But were you guys shooting Tannerite orange smoke? That's what it looked like. I mean, kind of hard to say it wasn't, but that gun was. I'm a little jealous. That's a nice rifle. But you know, I'll say this too. It's actually a gun I built. So it's an Olympic Arms lower receiver, and then I put a Viking Combat slide on it. I fit the barrel. I did the grip safety. I did all the internals on it. So it's a Franken gun is, I guess, the right way to answer it. But it's 45, and just like my Colt I show, you can see the front cock serrations. I did all the mill work to the slide for the sights. Yeah, it's, you know, stuff like that though makes it fun for the kids. Yeah, man, I appreciate it, Raphael. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, check out the videos. This channel kind of lags behind my other one, but clearly I need to invest in this a little more. So I appreciate it, and I do look forward to chatting with you some more. But Brian, what are you up to today? You still here? Orange Smoke, what was the weather by you today? I think we hit up, must have been like, what, 71, 72?
56.
Not on the way home.
Oh, not on the way home, but when we were shooting.
You're at work as per usual.
Dad, I finished all of Squid Games. I'm waiting for the next season.
Okay, go get in the shower.
Alright.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said before, John, that's what I used to do for a living, man. I mean, I shouldn't say living. It was a side job that I worked full time at. You know, I did really good for a long time selling and building stuff, and the fact of the matter is, this economy got bad. You know, and between insurance and the hassle, it just wasn't worth me to renew my license. So I just closed my shop. We got a Hunt Shack was in the 80s. Holy cow, that's a heat wave. At least now, though, you know, this time of year, there's really no humidity, so 80s is comfortable. I can only imagine, too, you got a lot of breeze up there. But, yeah, I couldn't get over how nice of a day it was, man. You know, I think I had my sweatshirt on for 15 minutes when we first got there. No, that's actually PSA Dagger. That's the gun I bought for my son. That would have been his first handgun. No, I'm sorry. It would have been his first semi-automatic pistol. The Ruger Wrangler, I bought him before that. But that's the gun I bought him, and we did a little bit of work on it. We went and shot it, and it bulges brass. That's the gun that gives me the right to talk about PSA Dagger being a shitty company. You know, I tried to contact that company a dozen times through email, through phone calls, voicemails, dozen different times, and they absolutely would not respond to anything. And then my wife tried to contact them, my kid tried to contact them, so we won't shoot the gun because it's not safe. It bulges brass to the point where it's almost coming apart, and it's a bad barrel. You know, no big deal. Bought a gun from them, the barrel was not right. It's out of spec. Send me a new barrel, we'll be on our way. But instead, there it sits. Yeah, I thought the Dagger was going to be a good option, and you know, it was worth trying, because for him it would have been a good gun to just go out and beat with, right? Um, but it's not safe to shoot. You know, could I buy a barrel for it, put a $80 barrel in it, and have it fine? Yeah, I could. But I bought a new manufactured firearm, and there's a manufacturer defect on it, and the company absolutely will not acknowledge it. You know, that's shitty. You know, I mean, it's shitty. What kind of company will sell a brand new gun and then completely blow you off, and you're like, hey man, this gun is bulging brass. It's out of spec. It's like grossly out of spec, and you know, that would be an opportunity for a company to say, hey, you know, sorry, shit happens. Send us the gun. Here's your call tag. You know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months later, here's your gun with a new barrel. Yes, the barrel was bad. Sorry for the inconvenience. And instead, they've completely ignored it. Yeah. So, you know, when we talk and I mentioned PSA, I won't do business with them. And it sucks because they got some things that I would really like to check out. Uh, and that was kind of me feeling out the company. I mean, it's a $300 gun. I wasn't expecting anything, but what I did expect is a gun that functioned as it's supposed to, and it's safe to shoot. And it's legitimately not safe to shoot. You know, if you've ever fired a gun out of battery, and you see maybe just before the brass completely explodes, how far or big of a bulge that is, that's exactly what that gun does. Um, Talk about Wisconsin versus Minnesota. I'll be honest, I like Minnesota a whole lot more than I like Illinois. And anybody that lives in Minnesota or Wisconsin's always gonna argue about stuff. That's to be expected. But Minnesota's a good state. Brian, I have over 100,000 views on my Google review account. I could go there for you. If you want to try, man, contact them. But they completely blew me off. We've had the gun now. Gage, how long have you had the dagger? 2 years, 3 years?
3 years, I think.
3 years.
Not positive though.
3 years we shot a magazine and a half out of maybe 2 magazines, and I started picking up brass. I'm like, hold on. And we fired a.
Take it out a couple more times to test it, make sure that.
I was just gonna say.
In total, we might have shot at absolute most 100, probably closer to like 50.
Yeah, because we saw the problem and we retested to confirm that it was that gun. Arizona Kid, man, how are you doing? I appreciate you coming in here. Arizona Kid, I'm back to posting on this channel, and I'll be on this for a couple weeks. Evidently, YouTube believes, and I shit you not, man, I absolutely shit you not. YouTube believes that 2 dogs playing over a bone is hate speech. They struck me for hate speech on my other channel on a video where my 2 dogs were playing and said it was hate speech. I sent the footage to Orange Smoke. He can absolutely attest to what I'm saying. I appealed it, and then I went through their whole off the appeal process and argued with it. And they're like, no, this is hate speech. I'm like, how is it hate speech? Tell me how. And they're like, nope, we made the decision. It's hate speech. How is 2 dogs playing hate speech? Unless I don't understand what these American Bulldogs are saying. I'm sure they were saying something like kill Whitey. You know, I'm sure that's what they meant when they were wrestling around. But Arizona Kid, I got to catch your Sunday sermon yet. I haven't done that. We went and shot today. We had a really great match. Again, Orange Smoke sponsored the kids, so I really thank him for that. But the kids shot great. I shot great. It was a gorgeous day. I mean, it was a beautiful day out there. And now we're home. But I hope your day went great, and I hope everything's solid for you. But hold on, Arizona Kid too. We'll make you a moderator on this channel. You're more than welcome to do that. So I can't post anything on that other channel. They struck me on that a strike a little over a month ago after a live. They said harmful, dangerous acts after I reported somebody for self-harm. And I didn't do nothing this time. I mean, legitimately, that video was months and months old. All of a sudden, somebody comes on and they're saying it's hate speech. You watch the video. How can you say it's hate speech? Makes no sense to me. I found out something about bully sticks that blew my mind. I'm not familiar with bully sticks. There you go. Yeah, some days people can't miss, and some days, just aren't your day. Did you post another video, John? Motorcycle bikes or bicycle bikes? It would have been a nice day to go riding. When I was still in the club, I rode usually about 15,000 miles a year, and for bully dogs, okay. I missed a lot of time with my kids because I was gone a lot for that, and I had a real self evaluation. Now, has it been now? How long have I been out? 5 years, 4 years, and I said I'm not doing things the right way. So I still ride, but very, very little. I want to spend as much time with my kids. I mean, my daughter's 11 now, so I messed up. I missed a lot of time. Off-road e-bike, bird hunting. That'd be pretty cool. Got a Honda Shadow and has a Triumph. Shadows are good bikes. Is it like the 600 or 750? And how old is the Triumph? Lee, I appreciate it, man. Feel free to double tap that screen for me. Consider subscribing. I do have a Colt 1911 that's in the safe. That's this one up here. It's a 1911 and 45. So that gun with the Punisher grips is a 1911. That one right, second from the top. Come on. Cool. You have revolvers? Gage set up the table while I was on the phone arguing with YouTube. The VTX 1800. That's like a V6, isn't it? I could be wrong, but V-twin, right? V-twin. So maybe it's 2 cylinders. It's twin. I think that's what VT is, right? V-twin. I don't know what X means, but a lot of the metric bikes are pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie and say Harley's the king of everything, because it's not. If you like to work on your shit, buy a Harley. But if you just want something that works and works every time, Triumph Trucks and Shadow 750. I'll have to check that out, Arizona. I missed it. I apologize. But yeah, them e-bikes, they wouldn't be bad for hunting either, would they? My friend has an e-bike now. He actually has 2 of them. He came over one day on one, and he's like, "Here, take it for a ride." I won't. Nope. That's got broken collarbone written all over it. Oh, for Road King. The 04, was it carbureted or fuel injected? I think they did carburetors up until like 07. That's what they stuck on the tanks. Right on. So I'm anxious to get out and doing some riding. I didn't ride much last year, you know, working on, trying to spend the day with the kids and going shooting. So, I had a bunch of people today asking me if I were shooting our state match, our sectional match, and a bunch of other stuff. And I had to look at them like, no, I'm not. And they're like, what do you mean you're not? So honestly, I can go shooting with my kids, go shoot small matches with them, and we can do it all as a family. Or I go shoot these big matches, but it's just me. And the guy kind of looked at me. I said, what would you pick? And my daughter standing there all smiley and giggly because she had a good day. I'm like, I'm going to shoot the small matches this year. So next year, Harley will be ready to shoot some big matches. And yeah, that's what I thought. 07, you could still order carbureted or fuel injected, but I personally, I'm old school. I like carburetors. I got a dozen rebuild kits out there for CV carbs. Maybe not a dozen, but I got like 6 of them for sure. So I have no problem pulling a carburetor apart. My Road Glide, that's fuel injected, and I'm pretty good at tuning bikes, but a lot of that's a pain in the ass. Yeah, I apologize, Arizona Kid. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say I've been through everybody's channels 100%. I try. At the point we met each other, I definitely have stayed active. So my wife worked in hospice, so I'm not allowed to ride. Yeah, my wife, one of the sporties I have, she rides, and I'll be honest. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the sexiest things to me, and it's more acceptable now, but one of the sexiest things for me is watching my old lady get on her bike, and she's got straight drag pipes on it, watching her crack on it. Wow, and you hear her coming home. To me, it gives me a boner. I find that attractive. I would much rather have my wife on her own bike than riding with me. My kids love to ride. My oldest has a bike license. He'll come steal bikes from us. My daughter, she's been riding for years with us. She loves to ride. My son Gage, he loves to ride. So that's good times. But 1911 or the FN10. Cool. Will you let them outside, Gage? What caliber 1911? You thinking 10 millimeter? Sierra 450 Supermotor. I like them Supermotos. I'd get in a lot of trouble with that. Trace, I appreciate you coming into the chat. I hope you're having a good day. I don't own a SIG 320, so I don't know that I could really give you an honest opinion. I can give you my beliefs about the company, but I don't have any personal experience with the 320. You like your Springfield? That's a pretty nice gun too, though. They're out there. I don't know. 45 is a good cartridge. It's fun to shoot, but it's expensive. And I'm not even talking, buying factory ammunition. I'm talking the brass and the bullets, the projectiles. They're pricey. It doesn't take that much difference in powder charge compared to a 9mm, but the projectiles are expensive. Yeah. There's a handful. Yeah, so I obviously Trace. I didn't want to. I don't want to bang on them, but my opinion is just like yours. I don't think they're handling it the way they should. What bothers me it isn't them saying a civilian mishandled their firearm or caused um, an accidental discharge, but what bothers me is our law enforcement and our military that's experiencing accidental discharges, and they're getting hurt. You or I have a choice of what we carry for a carry gun. These guys are issued a service pistol, and like it or not, it may be my family that they're rushing to. Uh, that bothers me. Yeah, the Kodiaks are slick as shit. I think, years ago I had a buddy that had a 40 cal 1911, and I really liked that. That was a really, really sweet shooting gun. He used to compete with that in USPSA because it made major scoring, and I really did like that in 40. But 40, outside of the competition world, 40 is a dying cartridge. It's circling the drain. But nobody shoots 10 millimeter for that type of stuff. Um, but 40 in the competition circuit's still big because of the score, and it scored major for limited or limited 10. Um, yeah, I bought my oldest, I don't know, 3 years ago maybe, a 10 millimeter high point. He he wanted a 10 millimeter since he was a little kid in the worst way, but he wanted a 1911, and I thought I was being a good dad, and I finally got him a 10 millimeter, but it was a high point. And he was so mad. He wanted to throw it. I loaded ammunition for it because 10 millimeter takes the same projectile as a 40. Um, and over the years when we pick up brass, I don't know, I bet you I got 300 pieces of 10 millimeter brass. And so I loaded up ammo, right? We went out and shot this gun, and he was so mad, man, because I hyped it up for a couple months, you know, and kept telling me he was getting a 10 millimeter, and I wouldn't tell him what. And then he opened it, dude, and it was funny, but the disappointment and disgust that he had on his face told me I was a piece of shit for doing that. But we went out, we shot the high point 10 millimeter, and the gun worked, you know. It worked. I'd like to say it didn't, but it did work. And he did want to throw it, even when we were done. He's like, man, just it made him upset, but he still has it. Hopefully he'll have it forever. We were gonna take it and we were gonna spray paint it pink, do some bedazzle on it, and give it to him then. And I just ended up not doing that because I thought that would have been even better. But Ammo, how are you doing, man? Welcome to my A channel now. I'll be on here until shit expires on the other channel. I'm not even sure. So that channel's sitting at 2 strikes. I don't even know if I'll post anything on there. They definitely have a hard on. We went on the YouTube Studio app and did the contact people, and we spent over an hour arguing with these people, and they're insisting that it's hate speech and blah blah blah, you know. And then they got to the point where they're like, if you don't like it, get a lawyer, is what they told me. And then they disconnected with me. My dad would do that. He bought an RC car on my 16th birthday and told me before I opened it. Got me. That's awesome. See, you gotta mess with them guys a little bit. Wanting a 10 millimeter for a long time and getting one, and it's a high point, is like getting a Playboy model, but she has a wiener. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. But I mean, dude, his dad bought him a gun, right? If your dad bought you a gun, even if it really wasn't what you want, you know, there's got to be something there. It's either that or a Taurus TX22 for you. I think Orange Smoke, you have one of them TX22s, don't you? You just left outdoor range. How'd you shoot today? We shot today too. We got back a little while ago. I do not have a USCCA membership. Ammo, shit. Sorry, man. Here, we'll do this. So, really disappointed with them. I mean, really disappointed. We did have 2 squibs today. 100% my fault. We were using that new press, and I had issues with the primers. He ended up having 2 squibs, which is 100% my fault. And that's why, like I said last time, is I skipped the priming and depriming on a progressive press, because 9 out of 10 times, if you're gonna have a bad cartridge, something's gonna happen. It's always related to the priming station, always. You think that would be a good steel challenge gun, or just a good toy? John, are you talking to me or Ammo? I have footage I'll post on here, but I got to put it all together, because I believe that retain lawyer deals with Second Amendment freedom of speech as well. Yeah, I don't know. See, but they're not saying it's second 2A thing. They're saying it's hate speech, and it had to do with 2 dogs. So maybe they want to tread carefully. Oh, you broke a decapping pin for rifle or for pistol? I think all you do on there is rifle, isn't it? But buy spares. What kind of dies do you have? 223, yeah. Welcome to that. Do you have a stuck shell extractor? If you don't have one of them, you should absolutely purchase one of them too, because if you haven't got one yet, you will at some point, and you want to see kicking the fucking nuts. Get a stuck case and a size and die. I sent you the video. There's a song. That's it. There's a song in the back, and it's nothing bad. So if you didn't hear the song, then go back and play the video. I sent you the video, right? You know, it's funny if people, oh dude, it will ruin your fucking shit. And it's not hard to get out once you get the stuck shell extractor, but there's some bullshit there. I'll shit you not, for 9mm, I have 3 sets of 9mm dies. For 223, I have 3 sets of 223 dies. Because when we're loading for either of them, I'm not loading because I'm doing it 6 months ahead. I'm doing it because I want to shoot next weekend or the next day or something. And man, I can't tell you the number of times that we broke a T-cap and pin in 9mm or 223, or got a stuck casing in 223, and yeah, not good. It's some straight up bullshit. Yeah, so we have the hand primers too. What I generally do is I put in the sizing and decap and die in a single stage press. That eliminates a lot of problems, a lot. And then I'll hand prime them. I have a hand priming tool like you have. I got one of the Lee auto primes, and it's better. And maybe other people have better lucks with it than I do, but it hasn't mattered the press. If I prime on a press, it generally have some type of problem or another somewhere along the line. And like the Dillon with 223, if you don't remove the crimps in them, you get issues priming them. 9mm, sometimes you get primers that'll go in sideways or upside down or not fully seat, and it's bullshit, man. So, you know, it could absolutely be my inability to efficiently and effectively remanufacture ammunition, but it's just one of them things. Yeah, so it's it's how I do it. Even like when I'm sizing brass in the single stage, if I'm doing rifle rounds on there, I'm sure your guys' press the same way. You can flip the little lever up after you size the decap. You can stick a primer on, push the ram in, push the handle down. It'll seat the primer. I won't do it. I'll go through. I'll do all the sizing and decap, and then I'll take and obviously check for case overall length, but hand prime everything. So inevitably, and then the progressive presses, you start getting the primers that didn't feed. So by the time you realize they're not feeding, you're 5 rounds into it, spilling powder all over your press. It's just, I don't know. They do, every one of them. And I should say that from my experience, from the things, yeah, you can absolutely feel it. So from my experience, anytime I've used any press, single stage, progressive, turret, it always ends up being an issue. So for me, and like you guys are saying too, for me it's hand priming is the way to go. And the auto prime tool is fast. Yes, it takes time to dump the primers in, shake them, and make sure they're all orientated in the right direction. But it's still faster, you know. And I'm not gonna lie either. You know, with the progressive press, there is always an absolutely a risk of a primer igniting, and you're right under a powder dispenser. So a primer pops, okay, that's a bad day. A primer pops and it's underneath your powder dispenser. That can fuck some shit up. So. You know, but we had 2 squibs, both my fault. The good thing is the ammo that we loaded for him is pretty much all gone. And that was the first stuff I loaded. It was probably a primer issue. Fucked with the handle a little bit and it just missed the powder dispenser. I thought I caught them all, but I didn't. On the Dillon, there's a powder check die, so if there's not powder in it, it beeps. On that press, there isn't. I still don't know if I'm gonna keep that or not. Maybe we do a giveaway. Maybe I just give it to my son. I don't know. I know it would benefit from a stiffer bench. No, it doesn't. Hey Gage, will you do me a solid? Get me the squib rod.
I can't right now. I just started.
Hold on 1 second, Ammo. I'll show you what you used. Let me go grab it. That squib rod's still in the basement, or did you bring it back up?
Yes, I'm bringing it up.
Give me a second. He has to grab it. So you get a brass rod. I don't have one for a carbine, which I need to buy. You can go to the hardware store and you get a brass rod, or you can buy them offline. I think the one I have, it was less than $20. I got it off of Ben Stoger's Pro Shop. Yeah, so that's the reason you use
I
brass.
thought it was left down there, but
Oh,
it might be.
it's in there. So he's got to get out of the range bag. Sundar Picali, I don't know what you're saying. So this is a squib rod. So that perfectly fits a 9mm barrel. You
I'll
could,
sit on the table over here for now.
you
Works.
could. Arizona Kid, I'll catch you later. I guess you're splitting. I missed that. So it'll work for 45, 357, all that stuff. Today, in our toolkit we always bring with, throw it in the car. We didn't have our little hammer. So the first one, it popped right out, good hard slap. The second one, I had to wait till I got home and tap that with a little brass hammer. But it's a brass rod, so you're not going to damage your barrel. But you should use a brass rod, Brian. A screwdriver isn't a great idea. And they make them for every caliber, 223, 308, with 50, you just get a brass rod. So if you don't want to buy one, which for the cost of them, it may not even been $20, it may have been 10 or 15. For the cost of them, it's worth having one. If you're going to shoot competition, and even with factory ammo, don't think that because you're running factory ammo, it doesn't happen. I've seen probably just as many, if not more, squibs from factory ammunition than I have from hand-loaded ammunition. We had a squib last year, and we had a squib last year, my son did, with hand-loaded, or with factory ammunition. Stuff my son had was hand-loaded the first time. That was stuff he actually loaded. Yeah. So it's worth buying. It's something you should keep right in your range bag. And you look like a superhero too, because 99% of the other shooters out there don't have one. And every match, I shit you not, every match we shoot, either mine or somebody else's is getting used because somebody needs one. The 124 Blazers. You're shooting striker fired guns. Do you try, when you get a failure to ignite, do you try reloading that cartridge and hit it a second time? Most of the time, Blazer ammunition will pop the second time. Cheap aluminum ones, yeah. CCI primers are on the harder side, so it's not uncommon to get a light strike. It's not really a light strike, but it's a light strike on a hard primer. So if you don't try to restrike them, you can absolutely reload them in a magazine and re-hit them, and they'll usually pop. So, but CCI and Remington are the two harder type primers, so their ammunition generally has harder primers. Winchester and Federal, Federal being like the softest primer. If you have a super great trigger job in a gun, if you have a super light trigger in a gun, a lot of times you get light strikes. D-Dog, we did shoot today. I'll post some footage on this channel in a while. My other channel got a strike for my dogs playing. They told me it was hate speech. So just so you know, don't show videos with your dogs playing because they clearly want to take over the world. So 2 strikes on that channel, which is complete bullshit. And obviously one more and they take the channel. So super light steel cased hollow rounds. But yeah, Harley shot her Shadow System, Gage shot his TSO. I shot the Checkmate. Harley did good, so this is her second USPSA match. D-Dog, Orange Smoke sponsored the kids for this match, so they both had a sponsor from him. But she shot real good. On our way back home, we stopped at our home range, and she tested some ammo in her Shadow System, and I put that short up. So wasn't the best grip I had on the gun, but I put a short up with the other ammo we tested, and I watched her shoot some rounds with it. I'm like, well, what do you think? And the gun was just, every gun moves. Every gun rocks up, every gun rocks down. But compared to how she was shooting in the match with that ammunition, she shot it really well. She was shooting, the load she's going to be shooting now is 5.3 grains of CFE with a 115. And it makes power factor, so it's like a 127. But real gassy, and it definitely had a huge impact in what that gun does. But we had a good match, I think. Nope. I shoot straight ammo all the way across. Major. I don't think it shoots flatter, to be honest. Maybe like if I shoot right-handed and I use the gas pedal, it does, right? I don't have a gas pedal. The gun's going to do what the guns are going to do. I can only grip it so hard. You know, if I grip it hard enough to keep that gun perfectly still, then I slap the trigger so hard because I'm squeezing, right? So yeah, I don't think it does. I played with the minor loads quite a bit when we first got it, and even like last year when we were shooting the outlaw matches indoors, they didn't have a power factor, so I loaded up minor loads for that gun, and it did have more muzzle flip than with not shooting or with shooting major. But that's just me. Maybe I'm perceiving it. Maybe even I could have probably tuned the spring a little bit, changed spring weights, but I don't know. For me, it just, I didn't like it. It doesn't shoot the way you think it would. You know, the gun's heavy, but I don't know. My ultimate firearm. So we have a list going that we add to. I really want a Infinity 2011, probably in 38 special or 38 super. That would be a gun I really want. Yeah, see, now you finally got the good brats. Don't spoil yourself on them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so the trick with major and a comp is you want a really slow powder. So you can get major really easily with fast powders. It's easy. It doesn't take much powder at all. The problem is getting enough gas to make the comp work. My favorite powder that I've come across so far is HS6. It's one of the slowest powders you can buy for 9mm, and it's super gassy. I've loaded major with like auto comp, and it's not super fast. It's a faster powder, but less gas, and it definitely doesn't work the same as HS6 or Accurate number 7. Michigan weather sucks. Yeah, you and D-Dog are pretty close to each other. The 50 is a cool gun. Years ago before I got it, it was on the list, right? My Thompson was on the list. A roller delay was on the list. Different stuff, you know. Some of it's expensive, some it isn't. I would really like to get I'll probably get hate speech on this. I would probably like to get a German Luger, war period, preferably not like a 44 or 45, somewhere like 38 to 41, with good blue and crisp marks. I would really like to have that. Yeah, so I'm answering that as you probably typed it, Brian. You know, I want an M1 Grand. I've had bad luck with the one I picked up. I really like my M1A. I want to get another M1A. I want one of the Carl Hatcock ones, the Feather Edition, or any of the like national matches. They would be slick. I would like that. Yeah, you guys got ass pounded hard from them hurricanes. The Infinities, D-Dog. See, I wouldn't even go with like the Atlas, right? If I had the money, it would be 100% Infinity, you know. The Trench 12 gauge 1895s, them are pretty. There's imports of them. The Lugers, yeah, they're decent. There's reproductions that they were importing from China, I believe. They're probably still on the market. You can find them. They weren't expensive, and they would do the slam firing and stuff too. A friend of mine, he had a Luger. It was a war period, but it wasn't the 9mm. It was a police model. So it was, I forget the cartridge. It was 38 something, I believe, but I would have to look it up to tell you what the cartridge was. It was a really cool gun. It was an incredible shooter. Um, but I would want the 9mm. Yeah, a lot of them old guns like that, there's a lot of modern reproductions because them guns are legal for cowboy action. Um, the Lago Alien, they're cool too. I would like to actually handle one. I've never even seen one in person, which is probably a good thing because I mean they're not cheap. But them look like I've never seen anybody that owned one or had one at a competition. I've seen them on TV. That's it, you know. But you weren't impressed, huh? Yeah. So you guys that shoot them at matches. What didn't you like about it, D-Dog? Yeah, they're not cheap. There's a billion guns out there that I would like to have. Um, some are practical, some aren't. Some are just because I want them, you know. So all that stuff is cool. I would like to have a 2011 and 38 Super though. That's like the ultimate cheater gun setup right there. Electronic sub minigun, yeah, that's pretty badass. Recoil impulse got it after I dumped 2 megs. Well, got hot. Yeah, I think I did hear that they do get hot. That's that low bore. I know that, and I know this happens for you too. But the Shadow and the um, Checkmate or your Parrot, or I'm sure that was a P10 you just got. They all get hot. All them steel frame guns get hot. The DWX gets hot as shit too. I was actually surprised when we were shooting that last how hot it got. It actually got hot enough that I locked the action back and then set it down and just let it cool off. It was hot enough that you were burning yourself. But you know, polymer guns get hot too. You know, just not as much. You know, with that 9mm major, you know, that Checkmate, they get warm. You know, if you have a good round count stage, you know, 32 round stage, it's hot when you're done. You know. I don't know what you mean by oil can gun. Yeah, them aliens have a metal trigger, don't they? I think that's why a lot of like the TSOs and the Checkmates they either have aluminum or plastic. Yeah, I have seen some of them too. That's that stuff's kind of been around. Um, I That's good for an anti-gunner who wants to have a gun, but realistically, anybody with a common sense knows it's a bad idea. Yeah, I bet cans get hot as shit. The grease gun. The grease gun was a World War II submachine gun. and 45 ACP. Is that what you're talking about? That would be a fun gun to shoot. I've never had a chance to actually hold one or shoot one, but watching people with them, they got such a slow ciclet rake that you can actually get pretty precise with them. Yeah, the grease guns, they're real. They were a stamped sheet metal gun that looked like a grease gun. Pistol grip like Eric Rafal, so it burns the shit out of your finger too. Yeah. I want to see Dan Wesson step up and turn that DWX into a race gun. They wouldn't even have to do an external comp on it, just do a bunch of popple holes and a gas pedal. Yeah, it sucks. I hope they do. The DWX and an open gun, they would be on their A game for that, definitely. I don't know what kind of money they would charge for it, but I have to in the back of my head think that it's on the table. You know, somebody looked at that DWX that works there and said, this would be a good open gun. Add a comp, add a mag wall, add a gas pedal, drill and tap it. Yeah, I'd bet at least. It would be double the price for sure. Yeah, 450 back to back. That's you're definitely going to heat up a gun. I mean, it doesn't take long. A rimfire. Which Dan Wesson did you shoot? John, just pony up and get one of the Volkorstern pistols. You'll never regret that. I think the only thing I don't like about the Volkorstern pistols is capacity. That's definitely where other manufacturers and products pick up the slack. You know, the 9 rounds or 10 rounds is outdated. I get that part of the appeal to them is the narrow frame. You know, it's nice, but the magazine capacity on them does suck. You know, even John, like Mike, I have that Glock 44 and 22 caliber. That's a really fun gun to shoot. I wouldn't even rule something like that out. I bought it kind of thinking it was going to be a gimmick, and what I can say is we've had it for years, and I have never cleaned that gun. I couldn't tell you how many thousands of rounds are through it. I don't clean it, I don't lube it, I don't nothing, and it still works. At some point, probably now that I'm saying it, at some point, it's going to stop working and I'll clean it. But, you know, especially how dirty rimfire is, the gun works. It shoots good. I mean, it's got fat sights. It would have been nice if Glock would have put a smaller front sight on that. Maybe a high-vis, you know, smaller front sight. You get a little more accurate with it. It is a rimfire, you know. It's not a defensive gun. It doesn't need a big combat front sight. But a small high-vis like a Dawson Precision or something would have been absolutely on the money there. But they didn't. So that definitely is what it is, you know. But I know Orange Smoke likes that TX 22. So I don't have any experience with that. I think a lot of times people overlook the benefits of practicing or training with a rimfire. It's a really great way to get back to basics sometimes. Yeah, he keeps hanging around you, Orange Smoke. He's we're gonna we're gonna cost him some money. Orange Smoke. So you probably saw it on the bottom. That's that single 6 I got. I made sure I pulled that out. But that's the one I got. Beautiful gun. It's a great shooter. It's actually got a really nice trigger in it. Super super tight. Um, Positive action in it. I don't have crazy number of rounds through it or nothing. Just something I haven't shot a whole lot of. We shoot the kids' Wranglers more than we shoot that. So this is an interesting point for you. When you're training with a firearm, you can't train for recoil, right? You can't train for the actual impact of a cartridge. You can get used to it, but everything up until that firearm actually discharges is muscle memory. Sight alignment, stance, grip, breathe, trigger press. It doesn't matter what gun you're shooting, that's all exactly the same. After the firearm discharges, yes, guns recoil more. Yes, you get used to how hard to pull them back and stuff. But that's all happens after. Your training all starts before that. I think when you're shooting larger caliber guns, maybe you're conditioning yourself to not anticipate recoil or whatever, but or to maybe recover from recoil faster. But even with that, if you have a proper grip on a gun and the gun goes bang, how you get it back on target is exactly the same as a 9mm as a 45. You know, nothing changes up until that point. So a 22 is a great gun to go back to. And I'll be honest too, sometimes when you take away recoil in a firearm and you go to a 22, you catch yourself doing a lot of things that you don't think you're doing. So it's not a bad idea to have a 22 to go back on. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, recoil changes, but how you handle the recoil, uh, up to that point, everything's the same. It doesn't, and that's why dry fire is such a big thing. Everything with dry fire is the exact same as shooting the gun. Sight, uh, grip, stance, sight. Trigger press, follow through. You know, all your shooting comes from that. How you recover from the recoil. You know, how hard maybe you fight on the gun, but you know, if your fundamentals, and that's what people need work with. It's not, if you only shoot 9mm, are you going to shoot a 45 as fast accurately? No, because you're shooting a 45. But if you're shooting a 22, you're doing the same work. Everything's the same, except the cost of the ammunition. And yeah, you can't dry fire rimfires. I'm sure if you didn't know that, John, you can't dry fire rimfires. You damage them. Being a rimfire doesn't hit a cartridge in the center of the cartridge in the primer. It impacts the rim on the cartridge, and when a cartridge is not in the chamber, the firing pin will strike the side of the chamber, and you will start marring it and peening it over and have problems. Yeah. But it does. Yeah. You'll hit the side of the chamber and you'll start deforming it and peening it, you'll not only damage your fire and pin, but you'll damage the actual chamber. If it ever happens, there's tools out there. You just go in and you ream it. The fire and pin you usually just replace, but it's generally a bad idea to fire any rimfire. It doesn't matter if it's 17 HMR, 22 Magnum, 22 short, 22 long rifle. But a lot of things that, and Gage saw this today. He'd been shooting his gun all day, and then he picked up the Checkmate. He started shooting it, and I watched him. He jumped when the first round went off, and it's concussive. It's like shooting a short barrel AR-15. It's very loud. It's very close to your face. It's a lot of concussive blast. That type of stuff, if you're used to shooting bigger guns like your 300 or the 50 or a 500 or whatever it is, that type of stuff, yes, you get conditioned for it. But I wouldn't say it's you get trained for it. You get conditioned to handle it, right? It no longer scares you. We see people now, and I'm sure D-Dog sees this too, but the ROs, somebody gets out there with a race gun and, you watch them, they'll jump, Usually they're smart enough to back away from the open gun guys and give them a little extra room because it's concussive. It hurts. It's painful. If you only have earplugs in, but it's like shooting a short barrel rifle. It's loud and concussive, but it's so cool. It's so cool throwing smoke 15 feet in the air. You're on a range. You can hear the guys when they're shooting open. It sounds like they're shooting a short barrel rifle. But is that is it a good cartridge if you want to do a lot of shooting or a lot of practicing? No, it's not. It's a very expensive cartridge. 38 Super that I talk about is even more expensive, but that's like one of the best open gun calibers you could get is 38 Super. But the concussion on them is incredible. But we'll 2 minutes here. I'm gonna shut this off so I can eat some supper and do some editing. So, Orange Smoke, I hope your brats turn out good. D-Dog, Ammo, John, Arizona Kid is already gone. Brian, I really appreciate you guys jumping on here with me and showing support to me, right? Who cares about the channels? The channels or whatever, but I appreciate the support.
Dad, you know what sponsor
And
is
hanging
my
out.
favorite? You know what one of your sponsors is my favorite?
I know who's your favorite. So, I can't say it enough, but I thank every one of you for
all you do.
everything you do, for the time, for hanging out. It's really nice. So I do appreciate it. So I thank you again. But with that, gentlemen, dude, totally shit in your Cheerios. Old bolt open. Hitting a golf ball at 200 yards. Them old guns, though, man, a lot of them were phenomenal shooters. They made them different. Better steel, and it's amazing. A lot of the stuff that was being hand turned is 10 times better. So, but yeah, I'll catch some more lives on this channel. It is what it is. YouTube is YouTube. They're nice people. I thank every one of them for their time. I'm not gonna be upset if a fucking Mack truck hit him and ran him over, or a steamroller came behind him and just fucking crushed him. But they're great people. I hope the best to them. So, again, yeah, we'll catch y'all later. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. I'll catch you another time.